Everybody, today's Monday, June 26, 2017. Happy Monday.
Woo!
Thanks, Danny.
Monday. Yeah.
Today's
Monday.
show, we will have Brett Primus. And we will also have another, I'm calling it the underdog. Huh? That's so funny.
What?
I'm calling it the
What?
underdog show. Because we'll also have Zach Freeman on. Both guys, considerable underdogs in their fights this weekend at Bellator. And they both got victories, so we're going to talk to them today. Remember, we only have 2 shows this week.
Two?
So, we will have a show playing, right?
I thought I threw you off. I was actually going to say, hey, do you want to do something really freaky? And we'll record, when we pre-record, say it your way. When we do that, we'll have George say that it's the actual day that it's going to run. And then no one will know if it's pre-recorded, if it's real. They'll have to listen to the whole episode.
Oh, you rascal, Danny.
I know, right?
I don't think that would have worked, though.
I'm a banana.
What a banana. I miss Chevelle. He's only been gone like a couple weeks. What a banana.
You could still, like, call him up and just be like, hey, can you just say a couple of weird things?
You can't even, like, picture his friend going, dude, that guy just called you a banana. There's no way you could even get mad about that. I'm getting George, our buddy that you had thought about maybe trying to get on today's show. Did that work out?
No, the more I thought about it, I just, yeah, I don't think it's the greatest idea.
The answer to your question, Martin, is no. Martin from Hawaii, tuning in.
Kind of said what he had to say, and
Has your opinion changed at all? I've watched the replay
Coming up in a
probably
minute?
about 100 times.
on what, Yamasaki, or
Yeah,
what would have
mine's
happened?
the same. I've heard what
Well,
everybody
you were in
else
the other
has to
room,
say.
so I don't even know that. I'm too sure what you thought altogether.
Well, we'll get into that in a second, though. Danny, you watched the fights at all?
I did.
You did?
Both?
I watched, no, I watched most of Bellator. I didn't get to watch Fight Night.
You didn't get to watch what?
I said I didn't get to watch the Fight Night on Sunday.
It's not like you
We are
said
coming
Planet.
up in 30? Planet. Is there a fight
Why
tonight?
didn't you get to see it?
On Sunday? Just because I didn't have Fight Pass. And I don't have cable at home.
Oh,
Are you a Sling guy?
No, well, we're coming up in 10, but all the roommates kind of have one of the streaming services, and none of us have, like, cable that has, like, FS1 or anything on it. Coming up. Stand by.
How long have you guys been dorks?
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMAjunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is gonna be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMAjunkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Go. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yes!
The MMAjunkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMAjunkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMAjunkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMAjunkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
from the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes. Ari's co-host, back east. I think it's Danny. What's up, guys?
It is Danny. What's up?
I knew it was
Wow.
Danny. I was just trying to dismiss him right quick. Man, I really want to jump into it.
Let's do it.
The last couple weeks, we've been doing the NBA draft, the NHL playoffs, the this, the that, boxing, EDC. I really want to jump into it because we had 2 shows. And Goes, can you believe all the storylines that came out of this past weekend, the 2 fights that we had, Bellator 180/NYC and UFC Fight Night 112?
It was the weirdest weekend of MMA I can ever remember, right? Everything we thought was going to happen didn't. Let's just start with Bellator. I think if before the night started, if we all said, something weird's going to happen tonight, we would all say, oh, what did Chael Sonnen do? What did Vanderlei? They get into it in the back. They were the only guys that actually kind of were normal.
Yeah, Vanderlei gave him a little shove at the end, but for the most part, you're right.
That card
That
was
was
bananas.
The whole weekend was. So here we go. This is what happened.
Entertaining, though.
These are the the points that jump out at me that I want to discuss. The whole first hour is wide open. The second hour has 2 guests, 2 of the participants from some of the big upsets this past weekend. But even then, we'll still have a lot of time to call in if you don't get in this first wave of calls. It's 866-522-2846. We'll get to you. We'll get to you quick. And if the phone calls pile up, then we're going to make quick points. You guys will bounce. We'll get to the next person. And if not, if it slows down a little bit, then we'll stretch our legs and dive into certain topics. It all depends on how much you bring it. We'll react to you. First of all, dual knockouts in the co-main event at Bellator NYC. Sorry, knockdowns.
Yeah.
Which led to an eventual
People
TKO stoppage with Fedor and Mitrione. And that fight card needed that. Because I'm sorry, Phil Davis and Ryan Bader and Lorenz Larkin and Douglas Lima, but to me it looked like 2 great sparring matches. They didn't look like championship fights. All right? Now, I know that any athlete that's listening to this will say, you don't know what it's been like. You don't know what it's like to go in the cage, high levels, you know, this, that, whatever. But I think I have enough fights under my belt as a fan and as a member of the media to know when they're just cruising and when they're going for gold, you know. And like Phil Davis just won the title, Goes. He beat Liam McGeary. And I'm just thinking, like, protect what's yours. That's your gold. That's your baby. You know what I mean? And on Bader's side, I wanted to see him go after it. I want to be a world champion. And it just seemed like it was high-level chess, or what do we call it? High-speed human chess? But it didn't seem like the highest levels, all right?
I was okay with that fight. It didn't bother me as much as
it was strategic. It was tactical. I know both guys stifled. It was tough, but I still would have wanted to see a little bit more output out of both guys.
I can agree with that.
And I think I would give the same to Larkin and Lima. Now, round 5 of Larkin and Lima was pretty entertaining.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought he had a good performance.
I thought Larkin, I wanted to see more out of him. And in round 5, we just saw him actually put it out there and try to become world champion. But I guess by then it was too late.
Well,
So
I think in round 1, I think they were both kind of feeling each other out, but Larkin feeling out Lima more than anything. In round 2, I think Larkin finally got some confidence and said, all right, I'm going to do what I need to do. And his aggression is what got him caught, right? The counter hook put him down. And I had tweeted this. At that point, now you could arguably say Lorenz is down 2 rounds to nothing. This is where he needs to be aggressive and turn it on. I'm not so sure he's going to do it, though, because he remembers taking that big hook. And that's not the first time Lima's ever done that. So I think that's kind of what ruined him in that fight.
Yeah, perhaps. So we had those 2 title fights, but, you know, Bellator obviously stacked the deck, and they said, hey, we still got a 3rd one. And it was Chandler versus Brett Primus. And you saw how that one worked out. Disappointing, not to take anything away from Primus, because he went out there. He fought. He put his hands up, you know, and started when the ref told him to start. But as he threw a leg kick and Chandler moved away, he pivoted away with his leg, his ankle got caught in the mat, and it looked like it was broken because it was flopping. He could still jump up and down, and it looked like, oh, wait a minute, he might be able to shake this off or continue or tough it out. But anytime he went to step, the ankle would, like, flop, and it would actually get caught, and it looked like the break or the strain or sprain became even more severe, and he was injuring himself. And as big of a Chandler homer as I was, I just thought, okay, if we can get through the end of the round if we can get to the end of the round, and Chandler has a miracle KO, maybe he puts him down like he did Patricky, or maybe they go to the ground and he grapples and chokes him. I don't know. Then great, but I knew at that particular time I knew if I needed to end because I thought he was risking really, really serious injury. And I just knew that it was just going to get worse, especially because I actually was watching it. I was watching the ankle flop, and I could just see it. I saw it turn like 5 or 6 times even before they got to the point where the ref called timeout, which is another issue. He's not supposed to. He's either supposed to stop the fight and wave it off because of injury, or I guess the fighter, can also, a lot of times many fighters have called their own timeouts or stopped to let the ref know they aren't going to continue. Chandler wasn't going to do that. He wanted to keep going. Now, that said, and here we go into these branches, I actually didn't mind the timeout. Like you said, it's like a cut above the eye. Hey, can he continue? Let's take a look. And then the doc says, no, there won't be any further damage. Let him continue. Well, let's look at the ankle. Can he injure it any further? Because he wants to go, and if he can plant and at least continue for a little bit more, maybe we can do that. But that's not in the rules. The rules was he needed to either stop it there. There is no timeout of that sort. But I still think, and I plan on asking Big John and some of the other refs, can they ever get to that point? Because that was interesting to see if we can protect the fighter, but at the same time keep the fight going in case the doctor says no further damage can happen. You know what I mean?
It would have been worse if he stopped a sequence, right? If Primus was coming forward and that's when he stopped it, then yeah, it would have looked a lot worse and I would have had a bigger problem with it. But it was really like at a good time, and I think it was just something that where we're assessing.
He's probably never seen that too. He's probably never seen anything like that.
And I'm pretty sure that's ligament.
And then all of a sudden
keeps it together.
And then all of a sudden he's just jumping up and down, going, "Come on, let's go!" He actually just put Primus down prior to that, so it looked like, hey, this is a guy that can still fight. These guys are tough. Let's give him everything we can. Many directions we can go on that. Also, Chael smothered Juan for 15 minutes. He did it his way. He's a wrestler. That's his style. I have no problem with the way he did it. It just, I guess, hurt the pop of what Bellator's pay-per-view was supposed to be. It was supposed to be their event. We're like, wow, did you see all that? And of course we just had disappointment after disappointment. He goes on to call out the Big Apple, a guy he just lost to, a guy he just beat, and a guy that just got squashed. That's an all-time legend. I didn't see the point in that. Juan looked old. You could tell he didn't. You could tell he hadn't fought in 4 years. He looked older. Yeah, he just didn't seem to have it the same takedown. Even though he kind of like squatted down and got a little bit lower on a couple of those, Chael was still able to just get his timing down. Juan hardly threw any punches. He hardly opened his guard to create any sweeps. It just looked like he wasn't as prepared as he should have been for what you knew Chael was going to do. Take you down. First stop that. And if he does get you down, get up. Don't just get up there and get smothered. Whether he's creating damage, he's sucking up minutes from each round in which you can be out there throwing. And it just, whatever. It looked like a guy hadn't fought in 4 years, and maybe the next time he'll look like Chael did for this fight. Because remember, he didn't look that great against Tito.
I don't know. In my eyes, it just looked like both guys do one thing really well. Okay, Chael wrestles really well. Vanderlei's a great striker. One guy did his craft better than the other. It was just how I kind of looked at it.
Gallagher wins, and then, of course, he runs some smack on the mic. A little bit where you're like, if he goes too far, he's Connor 2.0. And if he doesn't say enough, we're like, why didn't you promote yourself? He's caught in the middle. I thought he did just enough to get remembered. Pico's debut, Aaron Pico, it just went down the drain. He got caught with a vicious uppercut, and then he got caught with a submission, and there was just this big buildup, and of course his prediction that it was going to end in the first round, which came true, except he wasn't the winner. And there you have it. A 20-year-old just has to pick himself up. Renan Barão, I remember, lost his first fight and won 32 straight, becoming a world champion along the way. So it's not like it's never been done, but obviously a learning lesson, and maybe it's best to get it early than later. Lastly, with Chandler, he lost his title. I'm sure they'll run it back quickly as soon as he probably gets a surgery or rehab, and then let's make it happen. Unless they have a challenger waiting in the wings. In the meantime, if Chandler's going to have a prolonged recovery. But how about that official pulling the stool out?
Oh, man.
Insult to injury, man, if there ever was one.
Totally. But can you imagine if like we weren't 100% sure what the injury was, but can you imagine if that would have made it worse or something? I mean, like, it was just like it was almost a
comedy
comical night.
Yeah.
But it was still entertaining.
Yeah.
Like, I was still getting into it. I don't feel like I was robbed of money.
Yeah.
It's just shit that you never see happen. And it was one after another. Now, I did hear some people complain, but what I noticed that the people that were complaining were mostly guys that were just watching it alone. And I think I would have gone crazy if I was watching it alone, but watching it with you, social media, going back and forth, kind of laughing our asses off, just cracking jokes, like, can you believe this happened? That's what made it fun, I think. So I would think that people were in the arena, and I know a lot of junkies were there, and they can
12,000. Yeah, 12,000.
Maybe you guys tell us, like, what, because it didn't sound like the crowd had their boo moments here and there, but they weren't that loud.
Right.
But it seemed like they were into it when they needed to be.
Maybe, but I've heard Bellator it was either a spike thing. I don't know what. I thought the production just could have had more of a roar. Either the mics that are down below or just even with Morrow calling the main event, it just seemed like there was moments of like quiet, like it's in the they're in the tough gym. You know, if you don't hear those guys yelling, it's really quiet, and it just seemed like quiet. Like I was surprised to hear 12,000. I thought maybe there's only 6,000 there, you know, and if 5 of them are casuals and only 1,000 hardcores, I guess that explains it. But 12,000 were in there, so I just thought it should have been more rocking and rolling. Sometimes again, the production of these promotions just doesn't do it justice, and then there's other times where you feel like, holy shit, like that was something else. I wish I was there because of the way the mics, you know, they're able to pick it up.
If I'm going to take a shot at the production, and actually maybe a shot's a bad word, but just a suggestion, for me, I felt like, why not have Michael Williams announce Chael Sonnen and Matt Mitrione? But why not? You've had Len Hart there before. Bring her out and have her scream Vanderlei's name out. Have her scream Fedor's name out. People would have lost their minds.
Yeah, well, here's one thing I'm wondering, though, and I'm with you, Goes, but one thing I've started to think is, are we just so far removed that the people that would have lost their minds, maybe some have already moved on from the sport or just don't care as much?
What did you think the first time you heard her voice?
That's
different.
I'm down with it. I'm
You know
down
what
with
you
it.
said?
Yeah.
We all kind of went, who's that lady?
Yeah.
So I think instantly people would go, that was pretty cool. National Anthem, I thought it got a little bit too much hate.
Yeah, I know.
It's in every other sport. It happens in boxing.
It is. All the other sports.
I want to give them credit for at least trying something new.
Yeah.
And they may get that feedback and go, hey, we messed up. UFC tried it one time. They just didn't like it.
I would
maybe
prefer
they keep it, but at least they're
maybe
trying
at the
new
beginning
shit.
of the main card. Except now are you committing to every nationality that's out there, or what are you doing? Like, you're right. If the boxers are able to stay warm and go out there and perform, then I can see the MMA fighters. But the MMA fighters, it looked like, even though they got into it and they did the right thing, you know, saluting their flag or honoring their anthem, it just looked like once they're in there, they're just ready. You know what I mean? They're ready to go, and they looked uncomfortable. But regardless, I think we were going to be treated to the same fight. Anyway, so we get to Sunday, and here we'll get to the calls in a sec, 866-522-2846. BJ Penn loses another one, and it's really getting sad, Goes. That was a winnable fight for him. It's just that his reaction time and his animal instinct just isn't there.
I think his cardio is not there. I think
Well, the cardio, too.
That's what killed him in round 3. He was just running around. He was like a punching bag.
But to have, like, over a minute, I think he was closer to 2 minutes, to have him down and to not be able to – you're already in side control. And he almost felt content to just get the round. And I'm thinking, all right, if you're going to get the round – hopefully you're out to get round 3 too, and he wasn't out to get round 3, so that should have been it. Like there's just something missing, man. There's no way BJ forgives you in the past. You know, if you make a mistake like that, like letting him catch you, and then on top of that, he's already in side mount. I mean, he's not gonna forgive you. You're going to sleep. So I hear this whole legacy thing, and you know my stance on it. He could lose the next 5 straight, but you run into BJ Penn, you're taking a picture. You're telling him how great he was, which he was, and if anyone asks you, who's that? You're telling us one of the all-time greats. The legacies will always be there. It's just, I guess, what I'm thinking is, how much is this crushing him personally?
That's what's bugging me. You ever had that friend that just crushes chicks left and right, but then he comes across that one girl he can't get?
Yeah.
And what does he become? Becomes
Or
obsessed.
the girl that left him?
He's obsessed,
Yeah.
right? And it completely changes his mentality. BJ Penn right now is obsessed. I think he's obsessed with trying to be who he was. And Father Time just doesn't let you do that.
Yeah, and I think this was a winnable one for him to just get in there. Like, I wish he could talk to his older brother the one that's in there with him, JD, and just go, listen, this is the plan. If I get this guy, I'm going to give you a look, and you give me the look. If you think I have it to continue, then let me know. And if not, then guess what? I sail off into the sunset with a win. But this is a fucking winnable fight against Dennis Seaver, coming off his own 2-year layoff. You know, and he didn't even get to the win. But if he got to the win and he came to me and said, what do? I would have said, that's it. That's a wrap. Get out of here with the win. You didn't show me enough that you can just continue. There's no need for the other matchup. You know, I mean, I don't know, man. I know these guys get paid some good money towards the end, and they see it as a sparring session. But I just think that money that comes in just can't substitute the blow that they're receiving to their pride, to their ego, to I don't know, man. I just don't. He's not a guy that's being able to accept retirement like the way I heard Dean Thomas. Someone had him on their show. I think it was Luke. I heard it on Saturday, and he asked him, "Would you come back?" He goes, "Hell no." He goes, "I'm proud of what I did. The wins, the losses. I'm on to the next chapter." And Luke even told him, "How about 100 and 100? Would you do it then?" He kind of paused for a second. He goes, "No." He goes, "I'm just done." That's someone who's content with the career he had. And Dean, who fought BJ Penn, by the way, doesn't measure up to what BJ did, you know. And so what are the traits in his personality that doesn't allow him to do it, and yet Dean can? I'm asking you. I'll ask Hal when he comes on as well. Both you guys have psychology backgrounds, but what is it that I'm missing there?
I don't know, man. I mean, here's the thing. This fight told us a lot about BJ Penn himself, because you can go back and look at the Yair fight. You can go back and look at the Frankie fight. They both pretty much stomped him out, right?
Yeah.
But Yair has stomped other guys out.
Right.
Frankie Edgar has stomped other guys out.
And Frankie, he just kind of hit a mental block. He got past that one. He's out there throwing and doing stuff. So he got past that hurdle, but there's still just the cardio. Did he not have the desire the last 30 days?
Dennis doesn't really destroy people, though.
Right.
So we know now where exactly BJ Penn is.
Right.
Question is, does he know it? Are his friends and family telling him? Or, when you get a guy like that's in that type of position, what do you have? You have a bunch of guys that just want to hang out with you, right? And they tell you, "Nah, man, you still got it. You look great in practice." They just want to be around for the ride. Who's surrounding this guy? Somebody needs to sit him down and just go, "Look, man, the time's up."
Yeah.
It really is.
There's a new player at 205 in Dominic Reyes. We can get into that. He looked great. 205 needs help. Clay Guida back in the win column dominated Eric Koch. A lot of the sharps that I knew were all over Koch, but I had this feeling. And I usually just let them do their thing because these are the guys that put in the work and study the film, for the last 10 fights for each person. I don't go that deep, but I just had a feeling. I remembered Clay stifling guys like Nate Diaz and Anthony Pettis who have similar attacks to Eric Koch, and I thought, scary. And I kind of eased back on that one a little bit because I just saw that as scary because Clay's so committed, and the Team Alpha Male guys are good at saying, what are you the best at? What do you suck at? Okay, let's focus on that, and let's keep you away from that. And what he has is cardio and wrestling, and he'll make you suffer, and he did that to Eric Koch. Justine Kish, lost to Felice Herrig, and then she lost something else, her bowels. If you have not seen that and you haven't eaten breakfast or lunch or wherever you are in the world, go eat your meal first and then get to it if you want. But that did happen. And I feel terrible for her. I think she's attacking it the best way possible, and that's just to laugh it off. But she'll hear about this for a long time, and it's unfortunate because it's a cruel world we lived in. But man, she fought off a choke, which is going to lead into the final point that I'll make. I thought she was done, and she was. I really feel like Justine Kish can really rebound from this and be a player at 115.
I work on that takedown.
It's pretty evident, though, like Dominic said, she relies so much on her athleticism and strength. But if she polishes up her technique, she could be something, maybe in a few years. Still has a long work. Felice has the technique down. And even though she was suffering from the cardio, she got the job done. That was incredible. Good for her. Very happy for her. 3 or 4 in a row now for her end. And then we move up to Johnny Hendricks, who missed weight, by the way. Very disappointing. There's no other way around that. And then he got starched in his home state, man. That could have at least eased a little bit of the burden he's going to carry from knowing, well, what's next now that I missed weight. There's got to be a lot of people that aren't too thrilled about that because a guy that wrestled at 57 was a world champion at 70, and he comes in at 88. That's just unforgivable almost. And I don't even know that that they'll want him to continue, and now they have the power to do that because in your contract it says if you lose, you can be cut. If you win, you're kind of protected a little bit, despite the fact that you missed. You move on, you win. It's a win in the record books.
Plus, he commands a pretty high salary. So I'm just not so sure what he does to help out. It's more of a headache at this point.
Then, of course, we get to Kevin Lee and Michael Chiesa. Here we go. Were you lead off.
Okay. When I was watching the fight.
Yeah. Do you want to just fast forward to the end?
Yeah, let's fast forward.
Because basically, Chiesa
Lee
had
was dominating
maybe
the fight.
one moment. I'm not even so sure it was a knockdown.
Nah, I think he just pushed him down.
Pushed him down, and Lee didn't get his footing right. But, yeah, let's get to the end where he basically takes his back.
When Yamasaki stepped in.
After some pretty good ground and pound, too.
When he stepped in, Lee had a choke. I said to myself, when I saw his arms do that, I said, he's going out. Okay?
That's what I felt,
stopped
too.
it, but as soon as he stopped it, I said, what are you doing? I think he was about 2 to 3 seconds too early because I saw that happen, but it wasn't enough for me to say, he's out. It was just something that made me say, it's looking like he's going to go out. Okay? I think Yamasaki could have waited a little bit just to make sure and then made his move. But I get where he's coming from. Okay? Fans blew up. They lost their minds. They made it sound like Michael Chiesa had him where he wanted him. You know, what do you guys think? I mean, he was in a bad spot. And we've had a lot of fighters come out and say he wasn't going nowhere. He was either going to sleep or he was going to tap. He didn't tap. More than likely, he would have went to sleep. People were saying, well, Justine Kitch got out of a choke like that. I think it was a little bit different. She was fighting hands. Chiesa's both arms were out. He wasn't even fighting the hands at that point. So I get where Yamasaki came from. But it was a call that just happened a little too early.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it perfectly. I will say that Chiesa, okay, we've learned a lot from having Big John come in here. And Big John says as he's watching the fight and he feels like there's that moment, whether it's because of strikes or submission, where this thing could be close, he wants to take a bigger look. Some guys really crouch down. Some will even take a knee. Yamasaki did that. Yamasaki is probably the one that is the least obvious about that position. It's just kind of a little hunch, you know. He gets a little closer.
Shorter, too.
Yeah, whereas the other guys like Herzog, they take a really, really good look. So he gets there. It looks like he's concerned, and he's looking. He did the conventional choke the first time. Chiesa's able to peel off with his right hand, peel off Kevin's left arm, which is basically behind his head. And so he's fighting it. He's doing a good job. Now, again, this is Chiesa had been battered early on, right? Then Kevin makes the adjustment and goes gable grip behind palm to palm, it's also called, behind Chiesa's head, and then rolls over. It would have been really hard to take those hands apart, all right? Chiesa then, I think the left arm is just eliminated from the equation. There's just no way he would have been able to get in there. And this arm, I think it was, as long as, I mean, he's got a lanky body, I'm just not so sure he would have been able to reach. I've heard Chiesa do an interview where he said he thought there was 30 seconds left, that he was going to just relax his body, and calm himself and be able to get out of it. He's done it before, but I've also seen him get caught before, too. Remember, didn't Masvidal catch him?
I don't remember how that one ended exactly.
I think it was a Darce choke. So it's not like he's not susceptible. But I'm hearing that from him, but what I'm seeing is that for that one moment in time, his body started to go a little limp.
We all saw it, right? We all saw something.
We can't deny
exactly what it was.
We can't deny that happened, right? And then I recall, do you remember when you got choked out by Miguel?
Yeah.
Remember you immediately jumped up and you said, he didn't get me.
Yeah.
Well, I think there was a little bit of that. And of course, he's way more experienced, and I'm sure he's been choked hundreds of times. But his reaction that's what's killing Yamasaki and
it was a Darce choke.
Yeah. So he has been choked before.
Yeah.
It's not impossible to choke him out. But anyway, so what happened was I think Yamasaki just jumped in early. He probably should have let him go out. Or if there was anything that told him there might be a tap, then of course stop it, right? But I think he's taking a good look. And this is a guy that's been accused of letting things go too far. Somebody had a good one on social media that said, usually Yamasaki waits for their soul to leave the body, and he stops it. I was laughing at that. But I think basically goes, he was in position, and that little intel of what looked like a flop on top of everything that got them to that point, I think he just pulled the trigger a little too soon. Yeah. I think if he would have had 10 fights like that, the next 9, he would wait a little bit longer, even without knowing that he just did this. Mm-hmm. He would just do it. It was just impulse. It was too quick. But I believe that he was on his way out, and it wouldn't have made a difference anyway. However, it's become this huge story, and, you know, he's getting roasted on social media, starting with the president of the UFC, who goes off on Instagram, and I don't get that, man. I know that people love Dana, and so do I, because of the way he is, and if it wasn't a guy like him, who knows if he would have taken the UFC where he did. But I think there's just a point where things have to change a little bit, and I'm going to go in another angle. You know, not because the NFL wouldn't do that, and Goodell wouldn't do that, and Silver, and if you want to be like them, you have to be more. Not because of that, because you're not going to change that part. I just believe that this whole thing about speaking your mind and keeping it real, and if I'm opinionated, I'm going to do it, fine. But it works both ways. Just days before, he was lambasting the media who had their opinions about the fact that Conor is not going to be competitive versus Mayweather. He's pissed at people for sharing those
Mayweather
opinions.
Was punched one time, George.
Exactly. He's pissed at those people sharing their opinions, but then he goes off and has no problem frying a referee. Is he the best? No, but he's really good. He's one of the best in the world. You know, and does he make mistakes? Of course he fucking makes mistakes. Every ref makes mistakes. NFL, the best make mistakes there. That's why they have replay. The NBA makes mistakes. Soccer, all at the highest level. These are human beings, and this is all happening very fast. That stuff's just going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I want to take something that you said that came from my personal life. When I was choked out on the air, I heard you guys say, he's out. And in my head, I was thinking, no, I'm not. I went back and I watched the tape. Yeah, I was out. It all happens very quickly. And I think something similar to that could have been happening, on its way to happening with Michael Chiesa. All we can do, guys, is this. We can assess what happened to that moment. And to that moment, Kevin Lee was taking it to Michael Chiesa in a way that we weren't expecting. If Kevin tried to take Chiesa's back or tried to take him down, I probably would have been in the corner going, what are you doing? You're winning the stand-up. Stay away from him. Don't go into his world. What did Kevin say the whole training camp? I'm better at it, at everything that he does. Mm-hmm. It was pretty shocking. It was a very good performance by Kevin Lee, and part of it gets taken away because of the way the fight ended. Mm-hmm. Now, that being said, Michael Chiesa is a tough-ass fighter, and if this fight happened 10 times, I seriously doubt it goes down like that every single time.
Right.
I think there'll be times where Chiesa maybe shows a little something to Kevin. It just so happened that was Kevin's night.
Yeah, it was. We're going to take this break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93. Stay close. It'll be a quick one.
Charm, compassion, common sense. These guys have none of that. You listen to them, so you're no better. I am awesome, though. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Our first guest is ready to go, so we're going to go in a little bit early. Zach Freeman, the Ultra Boy, will join us here in about 15 seconds. He defeated Aaron Pico at Bellator 180 this past weekend, and it all happened in 24 seconds.
Can you believe that?
So his hourly pay is up there. Joining us now on the show is Zach Freeman. What's up, Zach? How you doing?
I'm great, guys. It's nice calling in with an interview instead of a question this time. So
You're the man, dude. So, Aaron Pico this is a guy that was talked about for a long time by Bellator. I think they signed him over a year ago and had his own little press conference. And, of course, he went out and came real close. I think he came within a point of qualifying for the Olympic team, and that dream fell a little short. So he moves to MMA, and 24 seconds later, he's already 0-1. Congratulations on your win.
Yeah. Thank you, man. It was amazing.
Yeah. And I guess, I want to know what you feel like 36 hours later from this win, because everything leading up to this fight was about him, and there was very little about you. And are you at the point where you just understand the business, or was it disrespectful for you?
You know what? I think some words got put in my mouth by a certain person, and it happens. I'm not the only fighter, but, I understand the fight business. And I think there's a lot to learn from this in the Mayweather-McGregor fight, People want to count McGregor out. It's a fight. It takes one punch to change everything. And just like my uppercut, it changed everything. And whether that was the 50th punch I threw in the fight or it was the second punch I threw in the fight, it's a fight between two men. No one's a superhuman. We all go in that cage and we all bleed. So at the end of the day, man, anybody can win. To count somebody out is absolutely ridiculous. And I don't want people, a lot of people wouldn't take this fight because they were like, well, if I win, everyone's going to be like, oh, he was 0-0. He's never had any experience, blah, blah, blah. Look at his background. Mm-hmm. The kid's been fighting in Europe and Pancratia. He's been going to Russia, Ukraine, Croatia. The kid's been training his whole life to fight. And I took the opportunity. I wasn't afraid. I capitalized.
Do you want to run it back with him at some point? You don't need to right away. I would think that'd be silly to do that. But I know because you gave him that first loss, he'll want a piece of you at some point. Will you want that, or do the ship sail when you get past guys?
No way. I'm for sure going to do that, but that's going to be after I renegotiate my contract. Mm-hmm. It's going to be for a lot more money than I did fight Aaron Pico for. And, it's going to make for a great main event down the future for Bellator MMA.
What felt better, the punch that put him down or the eventual choke?
Oh, the choke, man. All day. I love feeling that, people know not to give me their neck, anyone that trains with me. So when I had it and I transitioned to my 5-finger, I was already cheering in my head. Unfortunately, I couldn't put up the middle finger like Nate did, but it was up there in my head.
That would be Ultra Boy-like for you to do that, though, so maybe best you didn't. But I got to say, though, as a fan, that was one of the best uppercuts I've seen, man, in high-profile fight like that at Bellator's second pay-per-view ever. That was pretty vicious.
Actually, yeah. If you, I think Dave Mendel from Sherdog, he caught a still shot of me landing that uppercut. Mm-hmm. It is the best uppercut I think I've ever seen, and I'm not being biased here. I'm being unbiased.
No, dude, it was big, man.
I'm under that punch 100%, and people are like, oh, he's got a glass jaw. If I hit Fedor with that, I don't care who you are. It's going to hurt you, And I'm not special or a superpower, but when you throw a technique right, you can hurt anybody with a punch,
Speaking of glass jaw, didn't he look like Glass Joe? Just the way that jaw went?
Yeah.
That was something else. Old school Mike Tyson reference there. But this is Zach Freeman that we're talking to on MMAjunkie Radio. He's coming off a big win over Aaron Pico at Bellator 180 this past Saturday night. He moves to 9-2 overall, and you can follow him on Twitter at UltraBoyMMA. Goes, what do you have for Zach Freeman?
Zach, during the fight, I think it was right when you threw that uppercut, you got hit with a shot as well. Can you maybe assess Aaron's power, did that shot hurt you at all?
It was actually almost a Fedor-Mitrione moment because we both actually kind of connected at the same time. He threw a quick 1-2, and he landed. And the way I had kind of threw my combo, I didn't quite see his punch either. So we both kind of ended up punching each other. Mine just had a lot more power into it. So he did what I like to say, ring my bell a little bit. So, I mean, look at the guy's arms. Look at his core. You know he hits hard. So when he did catch me, yeah, it stung me a little bit. But, man, I felt that punch, and I jumped on his head. So
when you had that submission,
thank you.
When you had that submission locked in, you knew it was good to go. There was no getting out of it.
He almost, to escape a guillotine, you have to go to your back. So whenever he tried to go to his back and I trapped his leg, I knew I had it.
Did you get a chance to talk to Aaron after the fight at all? And if so, can you maybe share what you guys talked about?
No. Him and his coaches, they didn't want to do it. So.
Did you get the feeling that they all, like either Bellator or that camp feels like, oh, that was lucky, 99 out of 100, that type of thing? Or did some respect come your way from, again, either Bellator or that camp, the AK camp?
Well, Aaron himself, he was very respectful in the press conference. My first question was, why was he even there? That was my moment. And, he lost. Why was he even up at the press conference? So that to me just shows they have a lot invested into him, and that, I'm still just Zach Freeman, so I still have a lot of work to go before I earn the respect of, I think, Bellator and some other fighters. But, anyone who's trained with me, they know, hey, I have just as much potential. I'm just as much of a prospect. I could easily be holding the belt in a year or two.
Well, that was my next question. Who does Zach Freeman want next?
I'm going to leave that to Bellator, but there's definitely a couple guys that I think would be interesting. I know that there's a Cazzola guy that's 8-0, and there's a few guys that have some power behind them, some hype behind them as well. So maybe I can be the Bellator hype killer,
Who's the 8-0 guy?
He just fought a guy named Jake Roberts. I want to say it's like Steve Cazzola or something like that.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I mean, you're in that position, man. I don't think there's anything wrong with a call-out. Doesn't sound malicious to me. Sounds pretty respectful. But you won, so I think you can dictate a little bit of what's next for you. A lot of fighters do it, and they're successful with it. So that's great that you're associating yourself out there with some different names. Congrats, Zach, on this win. And I know you got to catch this flight soon. You guys are boarding, so thank you for calling in a little early and making this happen. And seriously, man, that was really, really a fun fight to watch on Saturday night.
Oh, no, man. Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure. I'm actually a huge fan of you guys. I listen to XM Radio. I'm on Channel 93 all the time listening to XM Rush. I'm a huge fan of you guys, so it's an honor to actually be talking to you. I hope you have plenty more in the future.
Yeah, in fact, can I ask you one last thing? Because when I did scour your social media, and again, folks, if you want to follow Ultra Boy MMA, I saw you exchanging with Ariel, and maybe there was inside jokes or what I missed something. What's this about? Will Viacom buy those windows from his day job? What was behind all that?
Sure, yeah. So apparently I stole the press conference because I had said I'm the only guy on the stage with a day job. So I'm a commercial furniture salesman, and I specialize in selling demountable partitions. There's floor-to-ceiling glass wall systems that make up office environments now. So anyone out there that wants to do business, I truly feel like I'm one of the best in the country. I was an installer for 10 years. I have an expertise, and I brought that into the sales world, which most salesmen, they go to school for business. They don't actually get in the field, get their hands dirty for a number of years. So I wore a hard hat, and now I'm wearing a suit and tie. So,
how big are these buildings that you can do this to?
So, I mean, you name it. High-rises in New York. I haven't got to do anything like that, but I just did a beautiful building in Loveland, Colorado. I do any building, any space that people want to do. Instead of using drywall now, we use these floor-to-ceiling wall partitions. So I sell a product out of Holland for my company called Working Spaces, and the product is called Mars Living Walls. It's actually really cool because they sponsored me. And Marla Cohen interviewed me after the fight, and I said, hey, I was at your gym last September. She's like, what, you were? And I said, yeah. I was in Hardawhite for Mars Living Walls, and she had heard of them. She's like, oh, my gosh. So it was kind of a cool, surreal moment. So I appreciate you letting me get the plug for that, because I do plan on keeping my day job, and I hope it can only help with my success.
And do you work from the inside, the outside, or both?
So I'm an outside sales rep as well as an inside sales rep.
No, but I'm talking when you get your hands dirty in talking about the windows.
Okay, so the glass partitions, I typically, I was an installer, so now I'm a sales rep. I work with architects and designers, and I help them space plan the buildings. So instead of using drywall now, we use these pre-manufactured wall systems. I hope that makes sense.
Okay, but what I mean is when the installation of it goes in, and you've said you've done this, do you always work from the inside of, being in the building, or does your work ever have to take you to the outside on a gurney or a scaffold?
Good question. So yeah, all the materials are for interior use only.
I got you. Because I was in New York, and I saw a guy. I was on the 9th floor, and I saw a guy like about 10 floors higher, and he was on the outside. But it looked like he was washing windows. But I was thinking, damn, man, you got to have nerves of steel to be up there. And that was he wasn't even like on the high ones. That was like 20 floors up, and there's obviously buildings that go way higher. That's what I was getting at, was just, that type of
it can get confusing. That's what I call exterior glass cladding. And I just work with interior glass. A lot of conference rooms and the huddle rooms, things like that, are made up of glass. So that's what I do.
Zach, I can hear people checking into the flight. Did George's question just cost you a middle seat?
Actually, no. I kept my position. So
nice.
This is pretty surreal, man.
All right, my man. I hope you have a safe flight home, and thanks for doing the show. Yeah, we'll talk more often for sure, man. This has been a lot of fun, Zach.
Hey, thank you, guys. It was a pleasure.
All right, take care. We'll see you.
All right, bye.
All right, folks. Follow him on Twitter at AlterBoyMMA. Let's get a couple calls in, and then we'll come.
We still have the big break.
Oh, fuck. I feel so terrible. I told everyone, call in. We're going to chat.
Just get it out of the way. And that
let's
way
do it. All right, let's
clear.
do it. We'll take the break. Junkie Nation. The second hour is more clear now because of just the reshuffle. So I promise we'll get to you all. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93.
then.
To link into the MMA Junkie Radio Network, hit us up on Twitter.com at MMA Junkie Radio. This is MMA Junkie Radio. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
According to Mike Bond, one of our writers at Mike Bond MMA, he stated that, according to Spike, Bellator 180 averaged 901,000 viewers. It peaked at 1.1 million with Bader and Davis. Remember, the main card was a pay-per-view. All right, let's get to the calls here. We'll start off with Hal in Chiclayo. What's up, Hal? How you doing?
Good. It was definitely a bizarre weekend. You know, it was like weirder than Luxor Center Bar at 4 in the morning.
All right.
But I think that you asked a question about BJ Penn.
Yeah.
Why he keep doing it?
Yeah.
Because he can, you know. I mean, it's just one of those things. Look, I hit parlays with about a 15% accuracy, and I make one every week. You know what I mean? Like, you just think that it's like, I know how it feels like me going in there, you know, to the sports book. It's like, you again? You want to give us your money again? Mm-hmm. It's like, what? You haven't you learned your lesson? And I just keep going. I just think like, no, I know MMA, you know, but it's different. It's different to be a Dan Tom and sit there and watch tape forever, or be, you know, Gigi, who's been, you know, doing this for longer and understands, you know, the nuances, and you're an insider, and so, you know, you're just I'm going in there with sharks, you know, and that's what BJ's doing. But he just feels like, what's the worst that can happen? I lose,
right?
And so what? You know,
so he's probably saying, hey, they're willing to pay me $200,000, $400,000, whatever it is he makes to show. Hey, they're willing to pay me. I'll go out there and take a beating at worst, but I may win. I may, you know, I don't know.
He's got money, right? He's got
well,
money.
I don't know, because we've said that for many years, but who's really dove into his finances? I mean, rich people have gone
the same as they were 10 years ago.
Yeah, rich people have gone bankrupt before. It's not like businesses haven't tanked. We don't know. We don't know where he's at. I think he comes from a rich family, real estate, you know, politics, whatever. But who knows? Who knows how much of that is his? Like, okay, here's an example. It's fairly a reach, but I think it makes sense. Aaron Spelling, remember the guy from ABC? He created so many of those shows.
Spelling's dad?
Right. Well, he got married, and Tori, who should be probably a billionaire, because I think that's what the other guy was, all she had was one other brother, but yet Spelling and the new wife, who I don't think was Tori's mom.
Candy, I think.
Something like that, yeah. They call her Miss Spelling. But this chick, I guess, and the daughter don't get along, so that daughter has never gotten even close to what she probably should have gotten. And she was a daddy's girl. So I don't know. I don't know what direction his life has gone, but I guess if someone's saying, hey, look, they're willing to, if you want a headline, they're willing to pay you $200,000. He's like, what's the worst thing, man? It's like me going out and getting in a street fight. If someone gets me, they get me, and they've accepted that, then that's fine. But it to me, it sounds like he, like any other superstar, wants to recapture that glory, you know. And to do it, you do still have to put in work. You have to respect the game, respect the hustle, respect your opponent, and then when you get in there, I mean, God, I guess a little bit of self-respect, whether you still have it or not. I don't know, man. I don't know.
That's
What
a
else?
lot of money, though.
I know.
To have a lot of pride. I mean, if I'm Tori, I'd definitely go in there and auto-correct whatever is wrong with that.
Oh,
spelling
yeah, that one.
situation,
Yeah, that one for sure.
Just white it out, no?
Yeah. What'd you think of Yamasaki and Chiesa and Lee?
Yeah, stun gun for Yamasaki. That's the obvious stun gun of the weekend.
Right.
So
But was Chiesa coming back, or did Yamasaki just have to wait another second, and then we would have had the proper ending of the fight? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, Yamasaki saved him from going to sleep, for sure.
Yeah. So really, is it Yamasaki jumped the gun, but is he a horrible ref? I mean, should he be eviscerated the way he is, or is that just the new way of being a fan nowadays? Is just to piss on people like that bad?
Nah, it's a bad mistake. You never want to end a fight unless he taps, but he did save him from getting choked out, I feel like. But, you know, you want to see it.
Thanks, good.
I don't think you need a rematch.
Thanks for the call, sir. Take a quick break. Sports Update. We'll be back to take more calls.
I wouldn't sleep a minute away. Oh, that's blackjack.
Sorry, I couldn't answer you. We were up against.
It's my house, come on, turn it up. Hear a knock on the door and the night begins. Cause we've done this before, so you come on in. Make yourself at my home, tell me where you've been. Pour yourself something cold, baby, cheers to this. Sometimes you gotta stay in, and you know where I live. Yeah, you know what we is. Sometimes you gotta stay in. Welcome to my house, baby, take control now. We can't even slow down. We don't have to go a while. Welcome to my house, play that music too loud. Show me what you do now. We don't have to go a while. Welcome to my house. Welcome to my house. Morning comes and you know that you wanna stay.
All right, here we go. It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. Letting these songs go a little bit further. That's the feedback I got. Not to mention the fact that I got disconnected, so I'm buying time over here. Gorgeous George and Goes here on a Monday, following Bellator 180/NYC. See, the prelims were Bellator 180. The pay-per-view was Bellator NYC. We also had UFC Fight Night 112/UFC OKC on Sunday. Lots of stories to talk about. Just to refresh a little bit, Kevin Lee defeated Michael Chiesa in the main event at the UFC event, in which he was taking his back, and the referee jumped in a little early to stop the fight, a fight that I felt was headed towards that same direction anyway. But fans want to get it right, and I appreciate their passions. I just don't know if that expectancy is realistic. It's like going into an NBA game, going, now, let's go, boys. We want a perfect game, ref from start to finish. It ain't going to happen. And I don't think anyone in the arena goes and says that. So I'm just wondering if MMA fans are realistic and thinking, I just now entered the arena at 4 p.m. local time, and I want to exit at 1 a.m. with not one goddamn mistake. Otherwise, I will be a disappointed mofo, and you guys are going to fucking hear about it on social media from this guy. And I'm just thinking, save yourself some years off your life by not having those type of expectancies. Be nice when it's delivered, and applaud the refs as much as you tear them down when they do make good calls. But I'm telling you, I think these guys are really trying their best, and I think these are all decisions that happen so quick. You've seen a street fight in your life, all right? I'm sure whether it was at a concert or anywhere else, you see how fast those bodies are moving and things are happening. You know, now we had these excellent cameras, and we have well-trained refs, and we give them, you know, a proper cage, and so a lot of stuff's confined. But there's a lot of stuff that's happening there, and these are guys that are trained to fuck each other up, not just a fight that was picked for whatever reason. The guys aren't in shape, and they're defending their wives or their honor or whatever. I mean, it really, really is tough, man. It's like Peter Griffin and the Chicken. It's just a big dust-up sometimes. And I think, you know, have you ever seen the ref when they jump in and then they go, oh? I think Yves Levine did one of those where he goes, oh, and he let it go, actually. Same thing. You know, he probably came in contact with the body, but in that instance, he let the fight go. It was about a year ago. I remember he did that, and then we all said, "All right, yeah, you know, good call. Would have been nice if he hadn't bumped." But
you're fighting a battle that cannot be won, George.
Yeah,
people aren't going to turn around and I mean, the one thing that I do have a problem with the criticism, I'm actually okay with it to a certain extent. What the hell does this have to do with anything that he's doing in the cage during the fight? That has nothing to do with the heart, whatever. Should Big John McCarthy never say, let's get it on if he makes a mistake? It has nothing to do with it. I don't know why people are making such a big deal out of it. He's not trying to be a pretty boy.
Well, see, and I believe that, I bet you, if I had to guess, I bet you Dana ran into Chiesa somewhere between the end of the fight and when they got to the post-fight, and they both had the same thing to say. He should be less worried about making the little heart with the two hands. And that's just an immature boss reacting in a certain way, and of course it trickles out to the others. It's unfortunate the way it went down, and you know, they don't get best of 7 series. They don't get to come back next week like in the NFL, or the next day like in Major League Baseball, or in 2 days like in the NBA, whatever. That part sucks. I get that, man. But I also believe that one good thing that the matchmakers do is they'll look at the situation, assess, and go, you know, we could run it back. It is going to be an L in the L column, but stock has not dropped as much, you know, not as much as, you know, had it been, I guess, a proper chokeout or whatever. Even though I think it was headed that way, and, you know, one can take it in a certain direction, they can run it back. I think Kevin entertained it for a bit. I think that's the wrong move. I think he should move on. And if it builds up to that, then we can have that be yet another piece. You know, the Yo Mama and the early tap out or the early stoppage. Maybe that can be a piece going forward. But for now, I like the Khabib call out.
Money. Comes down to money. Why would you run that back when you have a guy that's hot right now like Kevin Lee, that's talking smack, that you could build potentially with another guy that's going to make money?
True that. Let's get to the Brandon in Louisville. What's up, Brandon?
Hey, boys. How y'all doing today?
Good, man.
How are you?
Doing good. So, first order of business, old business. Last week, Danny asked you all a question about UFC 37.5. And as a noob, well, actually he's a casual now, he's supposed to get answers to these things from his higher belted mentors, and y'all just go, some weird stuff happened.
Well,
So
we had a meeting earlier that Danny needs to get better at his research, so me and George looked at each other. We said, yeah, this would be a perfect opportunity for him to go and look that up. And then I guess that didn't translate over the air to his boyfriend, Brandon, but that's what happened.
I'll give y'all a pass for that. As long as it wasn't y'all had no idea what was going on and just were completely
Of course not, Brandon. George, tell him what happened.
I just don't really. I remember when it happened. I'm looking it up right now. But at that time, I couldn't give him an answer because I couldn't actually remember. So I just said, yeah, I'll look it up.
I think it happened another time after
if
that,
I have
too.
time. And I think I mentioned that, too. I thought there was 2 of those. But it says UFC 37.5 was a last-minute event specifically held to promote UFC on Fox Sport Net's The Best Damn Sports Show, period. Where the best fight of the night was to air during BDSSP All-Star Summer Celebration. The fight was Steve Berger versus Robbie Lawler, which has the distinction of being the first mixed martial arts fight to be aired on U.S. cable television. The event featured only 6 fights, which was a much smaller card than the others under the UFC banner at the time. And it was the first time since UFC Japan not to be broadcast live on pay-per-view. Good?
Well, yeah, but that still doesn't know why it was 37.5. Why I did it.
I think it was planned at the last minute, and so the marketing had already begun for 38, and this one just had certain circumstances where they thought it'd be funny to call it 37.5.
The title fights and that kicked off the pay-per-view. They ran over.
One more time?
I didn't get what he said. Something about title fight to start the pay-per-view.
Yeah. Had he already changed the subject, though, to Bellator?
Yeah,
or?
he was talking, but it didn't come through.
Okay. Yeah. What a waste of time there. Orlando from Connecticut.
Well,
What's up, Orlando?
About Larkin Lima, right?
Hey, what's going on, guys? So I just wanted to say that the Bellator card was really entertaining. I think it would have been better at $30 than $50. But overall, the whole night, I had a few friends over, and we were all watching. It was kind of comical at times. But Chandler, the way he rolled his ankle, I just recently rolled my ankle the same way and tore 3 ligaments and a tendon, which is why I got all this extra time at home now to watch you guys. I normally listen on XM or whatever. So I think maybe he tore the ligaments, like you said, because I couldn't, when I'm a Marine, so jumping out the planes, I rolled it, and I couldn't put any weight on it either. But with the adrenaline, you could kind of maybe fight through it. But I got a question for you guys. You guys didn't talk about the bantamweight, the bantam title fight this weekend. Well, Cody, did you guys hear about that?
Oh, the bodybuilder that went to Sacramento?
Yeah, he showed up, man. My man showed up.
He did
I was
show up.
watching some of that on Instagram.
Yeah, so he showed up, and now Cody said he was there for 3 hours. The dude never showed. The dude told him, hey, we're having server difficulties, because I guess he really wanted to do a pay-per-view out of all this. And so by the time he got there, of course, Cody didn't want to spend his whole Sunday. So the guy gets there. Cody had left his number, and when the Team Alpha Male staff tells him, "Hey, hang tight, we're calling him," apparently the dude made an exit. Then he was streaming from a Starbucks, was found, and then the rest I don't know about. But I did hear about it.
I think the Bellator card would have done better at $30 rather than $50 because Scott didn't talk about the gate numbers or anything like that.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that would go for anything, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, if they did 100,000 at 50, what's that? 5 million? I think I got that right. So let's say they lowered it to let's just say they lowered it to 25. Well, now they'd have to get, I guess, 200,000 buys at 25. That's the game. Would they have gotten the 200,000? Would 100,000 people have said, "Oh, for 25, fuck yeah, I'll do it"? And if so, now they're breaking even. But if 200,000 more say it and say, "Hell yeah, let's do it," then obviously now they're making more than the first decision. So that's the whole game that they're still trying to figure out. It's only their second pay-per-view. Who knows?
Dana White calling out the ref like that is a professional because, like you said, the NFL and the NBA don't do that. And normally the players or coaches that talk about the refs, they normally get fined. So if Dana's trying to take it to the next level, wasn't he kind of stepping out of his lane?
A little bit. And I think another thing is he's basically saying, boy, hey, everyone, check out this professional sport that I'm trying to help build. Hey, man, I'm surrounded by fucking Muppets all day. And that's not the case, man. There's a lot of professional people that are really trying their hardest, and to give credit where credit's due to a sport that he definitely helped build. But I think a lot of people are making really, really tough decisions and at fast, at fast speeds. And I don't think
who let BJ Penn with the shorts inside out.
I didn't notice that.
That would have been
a
fine right there, right?
They were inside out.
Yeah. He had his shorts inside out because I guess normally he wears the with the belt on his old shorts.
Oh,
he had his,
so maybe he wanted to do that. Out. Maybe he wanted to just add a certain. Maybe with the drawstring hanging out.
You see any NFL players wearing their jersey inside out? It's fine, right?
No, definitely not. I hear you.
I didn't even catch that. So he was BJ Knepp the whole time, or what?
What?
He was BJ Knepp the whole time?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even catch that. Let me see.
All right, gentlemen.
All right,
I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. Have a good one.
All right, see you, Orlando. Marco in Waco, Texas. What's up, Marco?
Marco from Waco. ¿Qué pasa, Atos?
¿Qué pasa?
Interesting weekend, man. Chile, Australia got me sweating.
Yeah, they were down early.
I know. But, and they got so many opportunities to pull the 2 goals that they needed. Thank goodness that Chile even it out and that's playing Portugal on Wednesday. That's a tough game, too, with Ronaldo. Oh, well, what are you going to do? Yeah. But interesting weekend of fights, dude. When it comes to the Yamasaki, man, whether it's fair or unfair, the guy got a reputation lately of controversy. I think he's becoming the new Masagari. The public perception of the hardcore is Yamasaki is always involving controversy. Like I say, it might be an unfair assessment of the guy, but whatever little mistake he makes, everybody jump on him lately. Johnny, I don't know what he's doing, man. Missing weight at 185 now. And the way he got done with by Tim Bulch, I won't be surprised if they let him go, man, because one, he's too expensive, and 2, I think he had 1 foot out the door, man. I don't think he's really into it anymore. I mean, I feel for Johnny because he's a junkie and stuff. And,
well, he's had a wonderful career, man. He reached the highest levels. It's just that since losing that belt, just things haven't been the same. And I'm sure a lot of that resides with Johnny, not just his opponents, who I don't want to take credit for, but not being able to make 185, or 186, it wasn't even a title fight. That means 16 more pounds than at what you were fighting for 3 straight fights. He had 3 straight title fights. It's disappointing, man. And this is a guy who wrestled all his life. He's very familiar with weight cuts. So that's why it's hard to really go, hey, man, you caught a bad run or whatever. He didn't, man. He's got to be – he's done fucking up. He's done messed up.
It's only between the years. It's all between the years with Johnny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Bellator thing, I like the card, man. I mean, Heather Hardy, Jeff Gallagher looked really, really good on the prelims. Let's forget about the Davis Bailey fight and the Larkin Lima because, But the weirdness of the other fights, man, you know, they put all their chips on Aaron Pico, and he got done and dealt with by Zach Freeman. So I'm sorry, Freeman, for picking against you. I was fighting the hype, too. I want to apologize to him. Then you got the Michael Chandler literally stepping on a banana peel, man. That was so odd, man, that Chandler get his ankle busted, and he almost even won the fight. He knocked down the kid with one bad leg, man. But, well, the way they deal with that also was weird. They stopped in the fight. They should have just, you know, wave it off. Then the double knockdown with Mitrione and Alfredo.
Oh. We didn't completely touch on that, George. But we did talk about it. But the one thing that happened to just about everyone was their pay-per-view feed went away. And we made the switch from high definition to standard definition and watched it in standard definition. But I think a lot of people went to movie theaters where they saw it and they didn't have that option. So they went black for a couple seconds. But I heard it did come back
at least
on
a minute,
time.
it seemed like. 45
it came back
minutes,
on time, in time for them to see the ending.
Yeah, you get to see the ending, but there must have been some frustrations there for a while. Marco, let me chime in on a couple things. According to Brett Primus's account on Instagram, he put up a picture, and he insists that a couple kicks he delivered to Chandler's outside left leg, like just above the ankle, are what caused the damage prior to the kick that he threw, where Chandler stepped back and rolled his ankle. So he's demanding a little bit of not just respect, but I think he wants attention, you know, to that, and we plan on asking him because he's going to be a guest of ours here in about 10 minutes. But, you know, he's feeling that it wasn't just him, you know, accidentally rolling his ankle, that there was some damage caused by a couple of his kicks. So we'll definitely try and jump into that and dive more into it. I think either way, those two will probably run it back. When you're a champion and a big name like that, sometimes you get that flexibility. So it'll be interesting to see how this thing pans out.
Tyron Goodley Condit and Korean Zombie versus Aldo. Kind of sort of similar situations, you know. The hit probably was consequential to the damage. Last thing, Son and Bundy, very entertaining first round. The last two rounds, a wrestle fuck. But I still enjoy the card, man. I gave it a B- just for the entertainment value. But, you know, let's do better on the next one. Let's do better on the next one, Bellator. I'll let you guys catch you guys tomorrow.
Okay, we'll see you. Yeah, so I think Steve Cofield was going to do a post-fight show for Bellator NYC, and he goes, what kind of a grade would you give it? And I said, without the main event, it hadn't happened yet. We hadn't gotten to Vanderlei and Chael. I had given it a B- because I'm judging the competition of the fights, the athleticism, you know, what I'm seeing, and I'm also mixing in the entertainment. And there was some entertainment. It was blowing up on Twitter. But the main event kind of kept it at a B-. Maybe could have dropped it to a C+.
It kind of bumped it up a little bit for me. Yeah.
I was disappointed in Vanderlei. I mean, again, the 4 years, I get it, but just, I mean, like 0-0 takedown defense and 0-0 ability to get up, and then Chael looked pretty vicious in round one. I mean, he had really some good ground and pound, and then after that, it was just him winning rounds, you know, and I guess doing the job. I mean, once you're up like that, why would you want to risk getting lit up by the axe murderer? I get that. So we knew what we were getting. It's not like I wasn't aware that he was out for 4 years. So, you know, that I get that part, but you know, that's the critique these athletes have to take when they do get paid a lot of money as well, because you know, there's an expectancy of why we pay for that, whether it's a pay-per-view or our tickets, because of what you've done and what you've convinced us that you still can do. So when you can't, then I think there isn't anything wrong with the media or the fans that either boo or just come in with you know, their criticism of the evaluation on the following Monday or Tuesday or whatever.
Where I was a little let down with Vanderlei was, I want to say it was 3 times where I think if he sprawled enough,
right,
he could have been fine, but he opted to go for the neck.
Right.
And it put him in
and
a
then
bad
hold
spot.
on to the neck for like another minute or so. I mean, that's doing nothing. And that was explained very well by Dominic on Sunday. You know, like you're basically helping the guy on top and doing nothing to help yourself. Mm-hmm. You know, to help your case. So yeah, we saw a lot of that, and that part was disappointing. All right, let's get to some more calls. We got budget for a 5-minute break before we get to Brett Primus, so we're not up against the clock. Oreo from Alberta, Canada. What's up, Oreo?
Hey, guys. One thing for sure, Bellator is horrible for betting.
For what? For betting?
For betting? For betting?
Well, if you're a favorites guy, then you took a bath on Saturday because Pico, I heard, got up to minus 1,000, and Chandler was minus 800, and Chael was the favorite, and Mitrione, I believe, was the favorite, so that delivered. So, yeah, but if you were a favorites better, then for sure that one hurt. Davis was a favorite as well. Larkin was a favorite as well. But if you were an underdog guy, then it could have been great. It all depends on how you look at it, man.
Well, I mean, how are you supposed to, like, freak accidents and horrible decisions, you know? Like, I got Davis. Well, I'm biased, but I got Davis winning that Bader fight. But, yeah, I had, like, a 3-4 parlay, like a 14 parlay, and I knew Freeman was going to be Pico because, like, I think Freeman, he fought for the RFA title, right? The
yeah.
Title, so.
Well, wait, Pico, so if you knew he was going to beat him, did you bet him?
No, I did, but I had him in a parlay because I was so sure about Ken. Yeah. And
if you bet him single, what you did right now is called. I had a hunch he would beat him, but I knew he would beat him. That's where you have the ticket and you go, see, guys.
Yeah, if you felt that strong.
You had a hunch.
Yeah.
No, I didn't have a hunch. I knew I'd beat, but I thought I could offset the favorites because I was playing. I was playing Davis, Freeman, and Chandler. And Chandler's a huge favorite, right? So it offset. But anyways, I want to talk about the. It worked before in the past, but I want to talk to you about what you guys were saying about the Chiesa and Lee fight. And I'm going to stick up for Dana White a little bit. You really can't compare Dana to Roger Goodell and Adam Silver. It's not a sports league. It's a fight promotion, you know? Mm-hmm. And when fight promotion, when main event fights don't go the way they're supposed to go, it affects future fights, right? And if you're an owner of a fight promotion and the ref is screwing up your main event, you're going to get pissed off. And, you know, I train jiu-jitsu a little bit, right? I'm a low level. And I know, like, Chiesa's high level. And I know all the time people play possum when it comes to chokes, right? And I feel like when Chiesa, when Lee was on Chiesa's back, Chiesa was playing a little bit of possum, trying to get Kevin Lee to burn his arms out a little bit. Then he would, you know, get his back to the mat, push his hands away, you know. So there's steps to this. So he wasn't going limp as unconscious. He was playing a little bit of possum. And, you know, he's fought Jim Miller, he's fought Dariush. Like, he's a good grappler jiu-jitsu player. So right. I just don't think that he could justify saying, like, oh, you know, he was out. He wasn't out. So, and I'm a Kevin Lee fan. I think he got robbed. I think he would have beat Chiesa, but it would have been like, you know, 3-4 round fight. I want to see I want to see them run it back in Detroit, in Lee's hood, and you know, I want to see more of a war. What do you guys think?
Well, Lee is a decorated grappler. He said he felt him go limp, and Yamasaki's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, an experienced ref, and he had an inkling that he started to go a little bit limp. The guys I heard on Fox Sports all had the same feeling. Hey, he shouldn't have stopped it then, but it probably wasn't changing the outcome. And Kenny Florian is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Tony Ferguson's a pretty legit grappler himself. So I don't know, man. That whole possum angle sounds like a kind of a little bit of a reach. So
it can get dangerous because then anything could pretty much be playing possum, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
But it happens. I mean, 2 fights before, Justin Keach and Felice Herod.
She didn't go limp, though.
She was fighting it off.
I know. No, but Chiesa didn't go limp either. Like,
he looked like he went a little limp. I thought he went a little limp.
Did you on your site when John Morgan was interviewing him, Chiesa, right?
Uh-huh.
Chiesa, I encourage you to listen to the interview. Chiesa explained exactly what was going on, right?
No, I've heard him. I've heard him.
Yeah, and he doesn't seem like one of those type of guys to lie about something like that, you know?
Yeah.
If he gets beat, he's gonna. If he knows, like, he got Darce by Jorge Masvidal. He's like, it's not the fact that he's not a dirty fighter. He wouldn't fake it, right? If he's out, he's gonna tap or he's actually gonna go out.
Yeah.
You know, so I believe him on it in terms of, and he's a really good.
All right. Well, maybe that was about to happen. Maybe the proper defense, or maybe he was going to be able to ride out the round. But again,
we can only go off of what we saw.
That guy made his decision, and he thought he was on his way out, and that's that. If every week we pull these refs for the mistakes that they're made, we're going to be left with no refs. There's just a lot of mistakes that are made. So it's just those are the circumstances of the fight. We have to live with that, and whether they run it back or not, we'll support it. I just think that from Lee's side, he probably doesn't need to right now because you have to keep moving. This is a guy that weighed 180 last Monday at a private media day that we had. Think about it. He went from 180 to 156 on Saturday, and then he re-weighed in at 181. I don't know if you guys caught that on his social media. So putting your body through that, he doesn't want to do it too many more times at 55. He needs to make these count. Contender fight, boom, world title fight. And then after that, probably look to go to 170. Now, if him and Chiesa somehow lock horns again, hey, let's do it. Who's not going to watch that one? But for now, I think the ship has sailed. And so has yours, because we're going to go to break. MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93. Stay close. When we come back, we'll be talking to Brett Primus.
Spend my nights howling at the moon. Never wake before noon. And when the sun it rises, it always rises.
Guys,
They pat down TSA agents because they don't know where those people have been, and because they can. They are Gorgeous George and Goes, and this is MMA Junkie Radio.
SiriusXM is now on Amazon Alexa. Just enable the SiriusXM skill, log into your account, and say, Alexa, listen to SiriusXM Rush 93 on SiriusXM. For more information, visit SiriusXM.com/Amazon Alexa. Now, obviously, you can switch our channel for the NBA channel, the NFL channel, the Major League Baseball channel, whatever you want. But that would be a form of letting Alexa what you want.
How would you do that?
What you want to do.
Alexa, put me on the NBA channel.
Join Brian Scalabrine and I forget the other guy's name.
Yeah.
As they talk hoops on the NBA channel.
That's one of my favorite promo voices of all time.
Yeah, I like him too. Victoria knows him because she works for the NBA channel, so she knows the guy the way Marissa knows Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Brett Primus can be followed on Twitter at Brent Primus 155. Same goes for Instagram, and here's why I point that out. 55 minutes ago, he posted a picture and an explanation of what happened to Chandler's ankle and why people need to back off that Chandler injured his ankle while pivoting his leg off of that leg kick that was highlighted in the highlights package. Early on, he kicked the ankle, and he feels like he hurt Michael Chandler. And so more credit needs to be given to the new champion. The new Bellator lightweight champion joins us now on the show, Brett Primus. Hello, Brent. How you doing?
I'm good. Good. How you guys doing?
Good, man. Congrats on your win, champ. This past weekend on Saturday. Huge.
Yeah, huge for sure, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Now, the circumstances took away from, I guess, proper credit being given to you according to your social media post. And I wouldn't say I'm one of those haters, but I'm one of those that thought that off of his pivot, off of the one leg kick that you gave that was highlighted in the highlight package, was where he twisted his ankle. Now, I want to go back, I record the fights and watch it, not calling you a liar in any way, but I see the picture that you posted. Explain to us a little further how this sequence and what you think may have happened, because you're pretty explicit here on Instagram in terms of what you did, where you feel the damage was, and even a look that Chandler gave you knowing that, that he was hurt. Please take us through that, Brent.
Yeah, it was actually one of the first, it was the second leg kick that I kicked him on. Like, me and my coach have been working a good strategy. Chandler puts almost all of his weight on his lead leg to throw really big right hands.
Uh-huh.
And so we were going to attack his lead leg. And just off the very first leg kick, I kicked him, and I've been working on a kick, not the thigh, not the quad, but kind of on his calf and a little bit lower. And it's made to break the little bone right there or to kill the nerve. And after just the first kick, I kicked him, and I could see in his eyes that, went from kill mode, he looked worried. And I saw him kind of put his hand down to his leg, and then he kind of came at me a little bit more, and then I threw another kick, and I kicked him again. And then he stepped back and switched stances. And I could see in his eyes that he was worried, like what was going on. And I looked down at his foot, and his foot wasn't really stable. It looked like he was kind of limp. And then that's when I was like, oh, my God, he's hurt. I'm going to start, trying to kick his leg into two pieces right now. And, that's when I started kicking him, and his foot just wasn't moving. It wasn't working. And he stepped back, and as he lifted up his leg, his foot just didn't come up. It was completely limp. And then that's when he stepped on his toes and rolled his ankle. But, I watched the fight and the commentary. They were kind of talking about something else. They weren't really paying attention to those first two kicks and his reaction.
Uh-huh.
And so they just saw him roll his ankle, and they're like, oh, he rolled his ankle, blah, blah, blah. But then I knew I had him hurt right off the bat, off those first two kicks. And with that kick, it only takes one or two kicks to hurt the bone or the nerve. And I did, man. I just was Scott Coker doing an interview saying that my first kick or two gave him nerve damage, and he couldn't feel or move his foot, and it's exactly what happened. And I knew that's what happened. it's just been hard to deal with, man. I was so excited after that fight. My coaches gave me a game plan, and I worked it to a T, and it worked out really well. And I knew that I killed him with my leg kicks, and I was so excited, like beyond excited. I was screaming my head off, and then after that, I came to the hotel room and I posted a picture of me with the belt. I literally have hundreds of people messaging me, telling me that I don't deserve it. He rolled his own ankle, and I'm not the champion. And man, it's been hard to deal with, but I'm glad that it's going to come out on social media, and Scott Coker and those guys, and the medical report, that he had nerve damage, and it wasn't him just rolling his ankle. Of course, I wish Chandler the best. I don't want him to be injured, and he's a great champion, and a champion that I've literally looked up to for a long time, and it was an honor to get in the same cage as that guy, and I know we're going to do it again soon, and I can't wait.
Now, your kicks, because I can only see the tail end, and it looks like your foot closer to your toes is connecting with the upper part of his foot. But tell me, it's your shin that's hitting the outside of his leg. Is that what you're aiming for, just above the ankle? That's what you're gunning for, and that's what you think the damage was?
What was the damage? It's not like that I think or anything. I know. It was the kick that I'm trying to throw. It's actually like, you got to watch the fight again. It's like the commentators are talking about something else, which they should be talking about the fight and everything that's happening in the fight. But anyways, the kick it's below the knee and above the ankle. I'm aiming for that spot right there.
Uh-huh.
And I kicked him. I kicked him like kind of by the calf a little bit under, and there's a nerve that goes right there. And I kicked that nerve, and I swear, man, as soon as I kicked him, the change went from chill mode to worried. I could see in his eyes, and I was like, oh, man, something's wrong with him. And he was stalking me down until I threw that second kick, and then he stepped back, switched stances, and kind of started moving backwards. And if you know Chandler, he doesn't do that in the first round. He's all full board coming at you. And that's when I knew he was hurt, and I literally just started kicking the crap out of that leg, and, he was trying to get his leg away from me, and he stepped back, and literally his foot just didn't move, and he stepped on his toes, and he rolled his ankle, and from just the commentary and how they replayed it over and over, it looks like he did roll his ankle, but he was hurt before that for sure.
That is crazy. That someone could get kicked. Someone could get kicked in that area, and for the nerve to just fail you all of a sudden, so that you can't make your foot do what it's supposed to do. When you're planning back, you're expecting to be able to pivot or to put pressure, and then for it to not be there, man, I wonder how serious of an injury do you think this will be, Brent?
Well, it's a weird kick, and I honestly don't know why other people don't use this technique. I've been kicking my training partners with the same exact kick for all camp and before this camp, and I've injured a lot of my training partners and made it so they can't walk. And, Nate Sutterfield, my cornerman, my training partner, there's been times where I've kicked him just once or twice, and he's like, man, please, just don't kick me there anymore. And, man, it's a brutal kick, I've had several of my training partners think that I either broke their leg right there or something's really wrong. And it's a deadly kick, man. And the funny thing about the kick is Dave Jansen, he used to be in Bellator. I sparred with him years and years ago, and he kicked me in that same exact spot like 3 or 4 times training. And I was like, holy crap, this hurts. I can't really move my foot and my leg that well.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, yeah, it's because there's these 2 big nerves that go down right here, and I'm kicking those nerves. And, man, it's a brutal kick, and it hurts really, really bad. And it works perfectly. Chandler puts all of his weight on his lead leg, and that just makes it easier for that kick.
So you've experienced what Chandler did. Has your ankle done what Chandler's done after you've been kicked that way?
Well, I've been kicked that way when my training partner has shin pads on, and I have shin pads on.
Right.
So it's a little different, as soon as I kicked him, I felt my shin hit his bone. I felt it, and I looked in his eyes, and, man, I'm telling you, dude, I saw it in his eyes that it just, something was wrong. And, yeah, man, and it was time to attack the leg like no other, and that's exactly what I was doing. And, thank you to my coaches, and Coach Uyama has been working with my leg kicks, my kicks, and my stand-up, and my game plan, and literally that it was I executed that game plan to a T. And what's crazy is, like, my manager did an interview last week, and they asked him, like, how do you think Brett Primus can beat Michael Chandler? And my manager quoted, he's going to beat him with low leg kicks. And it's exactly what happened, man. It was a cool thing for sure.
All right. Well, I'm going to turn it over to Goes, my co-host. But I still have more questions. This is really, really interesting here. And, folks, we're talking to Brett Primus, the new champion at Bellator in their lightweight division. He just defeated Michael Chandler this past Saturday night at Bellator NYC. Goes, what do you have for Brent?
Brent, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm trying to picture what you're saying here. And I think I've had something similar, but in the arm. When it hits the nerve, basically the leg feels almost like it fell asleep, right? Anybody who's ever, like, had their leg fall asleep and then try and stand up, first thing you do is you're shaky, your ankle bends, all that stuff. Is that kind of what the feeling that Michael Chandler had?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what he's had. You know, like, I'm telling you, man, as soon as I kicked it, I remember looking down, and his foot just didn't seem like stable. You know, it was kind of wobbly, and I could see him kind of stomping down a little bit. And I knew it was hurt, man. I knew that I thought that I actually broke his leg, is what I thought at first. But I think that they just did a medical report, and they said that he just had nerve damage. And so I just kicked that, and I just hurt his nerve, and he literally just couldn't move his foot or had no stabilization in his foot.
Were you surprised that he didn't try to go to his back at all?
That I didn't try to go to his back?
No, that he didn't try and go to his back once he realized he couldn't stand.
Like maybe flop you and invite you to his jiu-jitsu game, you know, like how you see a lot of BJJ guys do?
Understand.
Were you
No, dude. Chandler doesn't want me on top of him. My ground game is really, really good. I'm a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and man, that was, if I got on top of Chandler, I think that it would have been worse for him, honestly. My ground game, especially my top game, was really, really good. My guard passes and everything are on point right now, you know. So if he went to his back, that would have been a blessing for me for sure.
Brent, so we're waiting to hear what exactly is going on with Michael Chandler. How long would you be willing to wait for that rematch before you just move on to greener pastures?
You know, that's a good question. You know, like, the only thing that I have right now, like, I walked into that cage with a separated rib and torn cartilage in my rib. And that was, you know, I literally did not grapple, wrestle, or spar for 3 weeks before this fight. And it was really hard mentally to do, especially fighting one of the best lightweights in the world, Michael Chandler. You know, like, I literally could not grapple for 3 weeks. Like 10 minutes before I went up and fought Chandler, I tried to work a couple arm bars and stuff in my back, and I just couldn't do it. My rib kept on slipping out. And so I'm going to let my rib heal up, and I'm going to have me and my beautiful wife are going to have our first boy in about 6 to 7 weeks. And so I'm going to do that, and then it's on. I'll fight anybody they want me to fight. I'll fight Chandler. I'll fight anybody. I'm 100% excited to defend my belt. I cannot wait.
Plus, you have that strained voice you have to get over too, right?
Yeah, it's because, man, I know I was acting
that's screaming
after that fight, but man, I was so excited. Like, man, I was just so excited. I can't even put into words how excited I was. But I just beat the #1 lightweight in the world, Michael Chandler, with an injured rib, and the obstacles that I overcame, and the paycheck that I was going to get me and my wife, and just being able to take that shiny belt home. Man, I really, it was the best feeling I've ever had in my life.
When did Scott Coker realize that, you know, what you're telling us, that the injury occurred prior to when we all feel like it occurred? Did you have to have a conversation, point that out, or did he come to his own conclusion? Have you and him talked?
Scott Coker just did an interview with Ariel Helwani and spilled the beans and said what happened. And Scott Coker, before they stopped the fight, when Chandler was over there, Scott Coker he said that he looked at Chandler and asked Chandler, "Is your leg broken?" And Chandler said yes. Chandler thought his leg was broken just as well as I did. Mm-hmm. But it turns out it was just a nerve. You know, he just couldn't move it. The nerve is a crazy thing, you know, and that's exactly what happened.
Do you, you know, it's like you were robbed a little bit of a moment of actually dethroning a champion versus some random, I guess, freak injury occurrence. How do you feel about that? And are you know, I mean, granted, we've really never seen something like this before. Are you pissed at that moment? You know, wasn't yours like the way it should be, or do you understand it? And do you feel like you need any more validation going forward?
At the time, I literally just thought I broke his leg or I did something to his nerve and I won because of my kicks. I couldn't hear the commentating. I couldn't hear all that stuff. So I didn't know that people thought that he hurt himself until afterwards. So I was excited, man. I was like, I just kicked the crap out of this guy, and our game plan worked to a T. And then as soon as I went in the back and, like, you know, got on social media and I posted a picture of me with the belt, I literally had hundreds of people saying that I don't deserve that belt. He hurt himself. He rolled his own ankle. And that's when, man, I was so sad, you know. Like, I literally didn't even want to put the belt on and walk around with it because I felt like everybody thought that I didn't deserve it. But deep down, man, I tried telling people that my leg kicks hurt him. I'm telling you, just the first one hurt him. His leg was already messed up before he rolled his ankle, and everybody just didn't believe me at all. But I knew that deep down. I could see in his eyes. I literally saw the will. Just saw him break, you know, as soon as that happened. I think he didn't know what was going on either. He was worried, I think.
Yeah.
And, man, it was hard for me to, man, it's just weird, man. I look at the belt right now. I didn't want to put it on because I just felt like everybody thought that I didn't deserve it.
How hard was the punch that he put on you?
Man, like, it didn't hurt me one bit. It literally did not. I was mentally there the whole time. It might have looked like a really hard punch or whatever, but it did knock me down. But I think it was more I was off balance. But as soon as I went to the ground, I was fine with it. I was like, come down to my guard. You know, I really felt comfortable with my jiu-jitsu game. And,
right.
But at the same time, I knew his leg was hurt, so I got up and I just went to kick him, man. I just wanted to kick the crap out of that leg. And, you know, that's exactly what I did. But I really think that was like his last desperation punch, like, oh, my God, something's wrong with my leg. I'm going to lose this fight unless I don't knock him out right now.
Right.
But at the same time, man, I was 100% there. Like, the punch did not rock my brain at all.
I'm watching highlights right now as we talk, and I see a kick to the back of the calf right over the KFC logo. And by then, he was already flopping, so there must have been an earlier one. But basically, if I had to point to the...
You gotta watch it. Watch it from the very beginning, man. Like,
okay.
Like the first kick, I kick him, and he puts his left hand down to kind of like grab his leg, and then he comes back up and he starts coming at me again, and then I kick him again in the leg, and then he steps back, he switches stance, and kind of bounces around and starts moving backwards, and that's when I saw his foot was not there. He kept on kind of moving his foot like little steps or whatever to either get the feeling back or for it to work. And I knew it was not working, so I kicked it, and then I threw a head kick, and that's when he stepped back, but his foot just stayed limp. It was not moving. That's when he rolled into his foot.
I've seen these leg kicks from Ben Henderson, but more towards the inside of the calf. But this is incredible. I'm sure a lot of people are going to follow suit with this. But, Brent, listen, congrats on your win. I can't wait to see you either run it back with Chandler or your next opponent, but that was an impressive performance. So congratulations on being the new Bellator lightweight champion.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right. Take care. It was nice talking to you. Take care.
Thank you, guys.
All right. All right, folks. That's Brent Primus. Follow him on his social media platforms. Twitter and Instagram are the same. Brent Primus 155. And I'll tell you what, he sounds very respectful and classy of the former champ. And that makes me a fan as well. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back to close up shop. Thank you to Brett Primus, the new champion at Bellator in the lightweight division, along with Zach Freeman. Tomorrow we'll be joined by Robert Follis, is coming to the studio, guys.
Cool.
Head coach for Michael Chandler, so it should be a fun show. Or sorry, for Kevin Lee. And we want to take one more call here from Brandon in Louisville. He's back. He's got 30 seconds. What's up, Brandon?
Boys, I'll make it quick. I owe you an apology. I was trying to white knight for Danny, and I messed up. I was confusing UFC 37 with UFC 33. I am wrong. You all are right. I'm on a self-inflicted 1 week goes out of band.
Damn,
oh, he's like he's like Rick Pitino. He's self-policing. That's smart.
I've never done a week.
All right.
Yeah, that's rough.
All right, Brandon. Thanks for calling in, my man. That is it, folks, for today. I will do some shout-outs and Facebook stuff tomorrow. Tomorrow will be our last show of the week because we're going to take 3 days off. These are the first 3 days off of the year, so relax, everybody.
Yeah, chill
Come
out.
on, let us have a little bit of a life. And that's it. So for thanks to Ed for Ed Cap. I'll do it tomorrow. We're running out of time. Thanks, Danny and Goes. I'm George. Go out there and be champions, folks.
I'm gonna keep on the run. Remember that I had a swing in time. I'm gonna give it everything I've got. Lady luck, please let the